You're shipping a large language model feature, and someone asks the question that stalls every project. How do we stop it from producing harmful output or getting jailbroken? You have two real options. You can write your safety rules directly into the system prompt, or you can call Azure AI Content Safety, a dedicated moderation service. Most teams pick one out of habit. That's a mistake. In the next few minutes, I'll give you the criteria that actually matter, where each approach fits, and why the right answer is usually both, layered deliberately. Before comparing tools, fix your criteria. First, enforceability. Can the safeguard be bypassed by a clever input? Second, coverage. Does it inspect both what the user sends and what the model returns? Third, latency and cost. Every extra moderation call adds milliseconds and dollars. Fourth, auditability. Can you prove to a compliance reviewer what was blocked and why? And fifth, maintainability. Who updates the rules when policy changes? Judge both approaches against these 5, not against a feature list. The trade-offs only make sense once you know what you're optimizing for. Prompt-based guardrails live inside your system prompt. You tell the model to refuse certain topics, stay on domain, and never reveal its instructions. They're free, instant, and infinitely flexible because you're just writing text. They're also the only practical way to enforce business-specific rules, like staying in the persona of a banking assistant. The catch is enforceability. A determined user can talk the model out of its own instructions, and the model itself decides whether to comply. Treat prompt guardrails as soft policy and behavioral shaping, not as a security boundary you can certify. Azure AI Content Safety is a separate service that classifies text and images across 4 harm categories: hate, sexual, violence, and self-harm, each with a severity score. It also offers prompt shields to detect jailbreak and indirect injection attempts, groundedness detection to flag hallucinations against your source data, and protected material detection. Because it runs outside the model, it can't be talked out of a verdict, and it gives you structured, logged results for audit. The cost is real, though: an extra network call per check, latency, and per thousand record pricing. Check the current Azure docs for category lists and rates. Put them side by side. Prompt guardrails win on flexibility, cost, and encoding domain-specific behavior. Content safety wins on enforceability, consistent coverage of inputs and outputs, and audit evidence. Prompt rules can't be certified to a regulator. Content safety can't understand that your insurance bot shouldn't give medical advice. They fail in opposite directions. So this isn't really a versus. The rule of thumb: use prompt guardrails to shape behavior, and use content safety as the hard filter that catches what the prompt misses or what a jailbreak slips through. Here's how the layered pattern wires up in practice. The user request hits your app, which first sends the input text to content safety and prompt shields. If it passes, the prompt, with your behavioral guardrails baked in, goes to Azure OpenAI. The model's response is then screened by content safety again before it reaches the user. 2 checkpoints: input and output, with the model's own instructions as the soft middle layer. This is defense in depth. No single layer is trusted to do everything. The moderation call itself is simple. You send the text, get back a severity score per category, and enforce your own threshold. Notice you choose the cutoff. Maybe you block at severity 4 for hate, but allow lower scores. That threshold logic is your policy, separate from both the model and the service. Keep it in code so it's testable and versioned. So, the decision isn't prompt guardrails versus Azure AI Content Safety. It's how you combine them. Prompt rules shape behavior and encode your domain. They're cheap but bypassable. Content safety is the enforceable, auditable filter on both input and output, at the cost of latency and per call pricing. Your concrete next step. Take your current LLM endpoint and add one content safety check on the model's output before it returns to the user. That single output filter catches the worst failures with minimal code. Then layer in input screening and prompt shields. And check the current Azure docs, because categories, features, and pricing change. If this helped, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next video.